Hello everyone and welcome to Callsign Charlie Models. Today we are going to be doing a inbox review for an aftermarket set, and today we also have an old versus new, or old versus new. We both from Reskit, and this is the main rotor system for the naval variant of the H-60 or the MH-60T or Jayhawk. So we're going to be getting into both of these. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison of the different parts. This one is resin cast, and then this one is going to be all 3D printed. We're also going to look at some of the instructions, see if there's any difference in any of that going on as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get the boxes opened up, and then we can start going through the instructions on both, and then we'll start going by the parts. So give me 1 second and I'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to start off with the old instructions first and go through that, and then we can see what the difference between the old versus new is. And going off, we have our heads going together right here, nice assembly, and then we have a couple other pieces going on, and then going in we have the blades in the fly position right here, and then we also have the blades in the folded position. So this does have the option for both in flight and folded with the rear, or with the old version. With the new version, it's a different complete set. I do know that much is different right there. Alright, so we're also getting a couple more pieces attached in here, as you can see, just moving on through there. And then we have to add in a couple more pieces, and then we're going to be adding in some wiring. It's our own wire, using whatever type of wire you use, either copper wire or lead wire or whatever you use for that. Adding more wire in there. Continuing on for the left and right side of the wiring for the rotor head. And then we have our transmission box right here. We have all the parts going in right here. And we also do have a holder drill of a diameter of 2.5 to 2.6 millimeters. And then we're adding in all the other parts. I do know that these were an issue, getting these to fit with the kit, and also these parts right here. I have built this set before with one of my other 60s that I've built. Then we have right here again some more detail, then attaching the blades. This was a weak point for the kit, was the attachment point for the blades, and I do know that that is fixed with the new set. So that's with the old instructions. Let's take a look at the new instructions. This booklet seems a little bit thinner. We have our parts call out right on the front page, and then we're opening it up and we're starting straight off with our transmission right here. It looks like it's all in one piece. From when I opened the box, it didn't look like there were that many parts inside. So we're just getting all of these parts completed, and then we have a shaft to add in, and then we do need to cut off the pins off the top, and then we're getting in the, or we cut those pins to 0.8 millimeters, and then we are attaching the transmission unit in. Alright, so now we're moving on to the next page. We're going to be getting in one of the kit parts right there on top of everything. Then we're sliding in these shafts going through there. We also have the swash plate going in, as you can see right through here, getting that all connected. Then we have our main rotor shaft going together right there. Like I said, this kit does fix one of the issues that the other one had with the connection point for the rotor heads being one of the weak point. They fixed this with brass rods. Perfect. I'm very happy about that. So the brass rods or the rotors are not going to fall off or break off or slag, because that is the main issue that I've had with my builds with this kit. So we're getting on these swash plates on it, and then we have some more parts to add on right through here, as you can see. Moving forward, getting our rotor or our rotors attached. Looks like all the wiring is going to be 3D printed in this, except for one wire that you need to use that connects from the main rotor to the actual rotor blade right here. Alright, and then we're getting that added in, and then we have a couple more things to add in. And then we have our color call out and decal instructions. And we do have decals for the color coding of each rotor arm right here, which is a very nice touch to that. And we also have decals to add on to the transmission head, which really you're not going to be able to see those unless you have it pulled off. But it is a nice detail touch. Then we have some more decals going on right through here. Again, very nice. Actually, these are not decals. These are the color call outs for how you're going to paint that. So very nicely done indeed on that. And then that's the end of that. All right, so let's start looking at some of the old parts. We'll try pulling out side by side, but with the 3D printing blocks and everything on here, it's gonna make it a little bit difficult to show off some parts, but we'll do our best. All right, so I'm gonna pull out the first 3D print block, and we have our transmission head right here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up because I am gonna be using this later on today with the Jayhawk build. So let's go ahead and get this one cleaned up, and we can see how everything looks. All right, so starting off with the main rotor transmission right here, get you zoomed in a little bit more. You can see all the 3D print supports are there, but we do have a lot of very nice detail that everything is molded together, so you don't have to really, or printed together, so you don't have to worry about connection points or anything like that. That was one issue that I've had with the old kit, was getting everything cleaned up and nice and square, because if you don't have it square, it can really mess up the assembly. And we also have the hole already drilled out for us right there. So again, you can see some nice wiring detail that's printed on there as well. So we got that piece right there. Now this one with the old kit is going to be some of the older stuff, or can be a little bit more difficult. All right, so here you have one part of the transmission right here for the old kit. They do have nice connection points, and it is a nice D slot right there to slide in. And then you have the arms, and you have these arms right here to cut off right there. And these again are part of the one 3D print for the new set. For the new set, we have our pins for the rotors right there. That doesn't come in on the old set. Okay, and then for the new set, we have the bars for the rotor head right here, 3D printed. Should be nice and easy to cut off because the connection points for those are very small. Then for the old set, you have just a regular resin cast block right here, and a few other detail parts on that going on. See more right here. Okay, now you see a couple more pieces right here for the new set, and then the same pieces for the old set. Right, so we have this piece right here, then it has a couple more pieces that go on the sides right here. Then again, getting those all lined up and correctly angled was a little bit of a nightmare. The detail is actually better on the 3D printed because you have some actual bolt detail that's on the inside of here. And then the same thing with this piece right here, which let me find, just this piece right here in the resin. Same level of detail. The 3D print stuff is a little bit thinner, a little bit finer detail on it, but again, the bolt detail on both rather nice. Just the cleanup on the 3D printed part is going to be 100 times easier than what sawing off that and making sure you get it all squared up for that. Okay, up next we have a bunch of other little parts. I'm not going to cut the protective cage around it, but you can see the swash plates right in there. And then we'll take a look at the plates for the old set, which, let me find it on the resin right here. So again, you have to drill out all the holes for these. Then these are already ready to go. Then we have the main rotor head right here. Again, looking very nice. We already have some of the wiring and such ready to go and printed on, versus having to attach them like all these little pieces right here on the old set. Those are already attached and printed into this piece right here. Then also you have the two little white stripes that are on top printed in, which on the old one had the same thing. I will say the 3D printed one does look a lot more crisp, and actually does look a little bit larger than what the old cast resin one looks. But again, difference in detail for those two. Alright, so main rotor head for the new set right here. As you can see, all the wiring and everything's already done. You don't have to worry about going in and adding your own wiring and all this wire. There are some floating wires right here, but that is going to connect to the pieces that you put onto this piece right here. And it's very nice because this is all one piece. There's no lineup issues that can happen. It's already set and done for you. So it's going to make life a lot easier with this. And I can't really compare it because you have to cut off all of these pieces right here, as you see, and glue those all together and hope you get a circle. And then you're adding in these pieces as well, right? So that's how all of that would look, but we have it all in one piece, so workload is lessened and made a lot easier with this piece right here. Then we have this plate right here, old and new, as you can see. Then the shaft right here, there's not much difference to those. Then a couple other pieces 3D printed on there. And that's it for the 3D printed parts. We do have a decal sheet right here, looking very nice. Reskit decals, I've never had any issues with those before. Then as you can see, we still have a ton of pieces to go through on the old set right here. Just flying through these real quick. Alright, so that's going to do it for the old versus new on the Reskit 1/35 scale H-60 naval variant bladed or rotor head right here. And definitely pluses and minuses to really only the old one. There's really no negatives to the new one. I can't see anything negative to say about it. And judging from my previous experience with Reskit, I know it's going to fit like a glove on everything, with especially the new 3D printed stuff. No issues with that. And the main rotor head for the old one, the detail is good. It takes some work, but you can get there, and it will look very nice when it is all done. And I do like how on the old one they do have the option to have it folded or unfolded, while on the new one you have to buy a whole different set. But with that being said, the rotor head is printed for that cause right there, versus on the old one you had to kind of glue it in separately in different pieces and all that. But with the new one, which means it's going to be a stronger connection, a stronger fit and everything. So really siding with the new one right here. Is it worth the money? Definitely worth it, with all the detail on it, and then also with the issues with the kit parts from straight out of the kit. Definitely this is, I think, a must-have for any of these 60 kits. They do it for the Army Air Force variants, and they do it for the naval variants as well. So the kit numbers are for the old RSU 35 TAC 0013, and for the new is RSU 35 TAC 0092. You can find these at any of your online hobby stores that sell Reskit, or also on eBay as well. So, or also the Reskit store. Make sure you go to Reskit online and support them as well, because they are putting out some amazing stuff, and they're doing it at a lightning speed, which is truly amazing for everything that's going on. But anyways, that's all I got for this. I'm going to actually start cracking on the Jayhawk right now using this set right here. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this answered any of your questions, or if you're on the fence about getting this new set, I hope this helped you make your decision. But other than that, that's all I got. So if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell button for notifications of when I post future videos. You can see this on the SH-60 Foxtrot playlist or the MH-60T playlist. I'm going to be actually building this setup as we go. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.